Let's talk about a super speculative stock. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, Adam. You're watching Steady Invest. Today we're going to be talking about Giga Metals, ticker symbol GIGA, and it trades on the TSX Venture Exchange. And I feel compelled to reiterate, this stock is extremely speculative. It only holds a very small percentage of my entire portfolio. That being said, there's so much that I do like about this company that if I am somewhat right down the line, it could pay off huge. Before we get into the video, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Alright, so Giga Metals is a junior miner located in British Columbia, and they're currently sitting on an extremely open pitable deposit of low-grade Class 1 sulfide nickel and cobalt. And this is comparable to FPX Nickel, which is $83 million, and Canada Nickel Company, worth $146 million. But neither of them are sitting on nearly anywhere close to as much nickel as Giga Metals has. I believe the Turnagain deposit will one day be worth billions of dollars, and they're sitting on 5.2 billion pounds of nickel and 312 million pounds of cobalt. Right now in 2020, we're going through a fundamental shift of supply and demand when it comes to nickel. And that's behind the huge revolution of electric vehicles and the batteries inside of them. This slide is pretty cool. It kind of shows how fast things can change. Easter morning in 1900, which is like weird to think about, we see all the horses and carriages and we see one automobile. Fast forward 13 years later, Easter morning, no horses in sight. And what I love about Giga is they recognize this and they want to take full advantage of where the world is going. And the rise of electric vehicles have already reached their tipping point. They've already arrived and they're here to stay and grow. So there are different types of batteries out there. Some of them don't use nickel. So the argument for that would be that nickel prices wouldn't actually go up that much over the next decade or two. Listening to Mark Jarvis, the CEO of Giga Metals, he said the experts say we're going to be using lithium-ion batteries for at least the next 20 years. And nickel is an extremely important ingredient. He says the serious research out there is trying to actually add more nickel into the battery. Because nickel is a very electron-dense material, and it holds the electrons in batteries. The more nickel in your battery, the more juice it has. And technology is moving toward the 811 battery, which is 8 parts nickel, 1 part cobalt, and 1 part manganese. And the only kind of nickel that works for batteries is Class 1 nickel, which is 99.8% pure nickel or more, and that's exactly what Giga has. And they have a lot of it. Did I mention it's also in short supply? So we have two kinds of nickel, Class 1 and Class 2. Class 2 nickel is ferronickel, so iron and nickel together. They mine it with clay, put it in a furnace, and then throw it right into the steel mill. And this is perfectly suitable for stainless steel, but for none of these reasons over here. As we can see, batteries made up 6%, whereas a few years ago it was only 3%. Again, we're past the tipping point of increased battery demand over the next few years. When it comes to Class 1 nickel, there's two main ways to get it. In Turnagain, there are sulfide deposits, and these projects are reliable, proven, and clean. The other way to get Class 1 nickel is through HPAL, I'm going to call it HPAL, and these are limonite deposits processed with high pressure, high temperature acid leach technology. And this is tricky, expensive, and very, very dirty. A lot of HPAL products dump their acidic tailings into the oceans, and consumers are becoming increasingly concerned with the ethical supply of materials. And in the EV sector, this is being driven by consumers, literally. If you're buying an electric vehicle, chances are you're wealthy, educated, and you're environmentally responsible. And you're showing that by the car that you're driving. And if you've ever heard about Elon Musk, he's the CEO of some electric vehicle company in the States, I think, or whatever. He's promised a giant contract for a long period of time to any company able to extract nickel in an efficient and environmentally sustainable manner. And more on that later in this video. When you compare Turnagain with the other HPAL projects around the world, it's very competitive. The capex or capital intensity of the other HPAL projects is very high. Whereas with Turnagain, it's $30,000 to $60,000 US per annual ton of nickel. And although it's more expensive than the NPI project in China and Indonesia, the nickel from those projects aren't suitable for batteries. Giga Metals will never be a low-cost producer, but they'll be a very large producer. Meaning the Turnagain project doesn't make sense when nickel prices are low. So when nickel prices dropped about a decade ago, the CEO, Mark Jarvis, actually stopped the project. He stopped taking a salary and was just biding his time. And now he's trying to execute at the perfect time. When you have a very large resource that's marginal in terms, that it won't be a low-cost producer, it needs a certain lift in the price, in this case it would be the commodity nickel, to make it economic. And that's when you can make multiples of your money if you're correct about the underlying commodity. If you're wrong, then it's very risky. And a direct quote at the end of one of the talks Mark Jarvis was giving, he said, if you like the nickel story and if you want to be conservative, buy Norilsk, which is a Russian mining company, and you'll do very well. But if you want to take more risk, more upside, take a look at us. And me personally, I really like how this company is all coming together. And the valuation is only $45 million. And if you're wondering what happened back in September to make the price go up so much, there was a fake story right before Tesla's battery day that they had signed with Giga. And this ended up being incorrect, and a lot of people lost a lot of money on a fake story, which really sucks. Now, this has created a bit of controversy, but I don't see how this will affect the mine in the grand scheme of things. Maybe something will come up in the short term, and if that causes the share price to drop, my plan is to cost average all the way down. Trust me, I understand this is a really risky stock, just like most penny stocks out there. And Giga Metals is my hedge toward the strengthening demand of nickel over the upcoming decades. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think of Giga Metals. And if you're a new investor in Canada and want to get started with Wealthsimple or Questrade, use my links below and we'll both get free money. See you guys in the next video.